predator becomes prey in the Florida Everglades as hundreds of hunters descend on the Sunshine State to catch and kill as many Burmese pythons as possible.
The Everglades is supposed to look wild. Endless sawgrass, dark water, cypress islands, birds lifting from the marsh, and alligators sliding through channels that seem to disappear into the horizon. But beneath that familiar picture, another story has been unfolding for decades. A predator arrived that did not belong here, learned the landscape, multiplied, and began changing the rules of survival. Burmese pythons are now one of the most notorious invasive predators in South Florida. They are powerful, patient, remarkably difficult to detect, and capable of swallowing prey that seems impossibly large. The problem is not simply that these snakes exist. The problem is that the Everglades gives them exactly what they need: warmth, water, shelter, and an enormous supply of potential food. For years, the tall grass helped hide the scale of the invasion. A python could disappear only a few feet away and become almost impossible to distinguish from branches, shadows, roots, or wet vegetation. Then came an unexpected ally in the fight against the invader: fire. Prescribed fire is not new to the Everglades. Fire has always been part of this ecosystem. Lightning and seasonal dryness naturally cleared old vegetation, recycled nutrients, and maintained the open character of the grasslands. Today, land managers deliberately use controlled burns for many ecological reasons, but those burns can also create something desperately valuable in the python fight: visibility. When crews ignite a planned section of sawgrass, the landscape changes within minutes. Flames race through dry material. Smoke rolls across the marsh. Dead thatch disappears, and the dense cover that once protected hidden animals is temporarily stripped away. To someone watching from a distance, it may look like destruction. To the people trying to locate pythons, it can look like a spotlight suddenly turning on. The transformation is dramatic. A snake that was almost invisible against green and brown vegetation now has to cross blackened ground. Its camouflage becomes less effective. Its movements become easier to notice. Hunters can patrol the edges of the burn, scan open areas, and search places that would previously have been concealed beneath thick cover. That does not mean fire solves the python problem. It does something more limited, but extremely important. It changes the battlefield. And that matters because this invasion grew for years in conditions where humans could barely see what was happening. The story begins partly with the exotic pet trade. Burmese pythons were once sold as unusual pets, and young snakes can appear manageable. But a small python does not remain small. As it grows, feeding and housing become increasingly difficult. Some animals were released deliberately, while others escaped from private collections and facilities. Major storms also damaged structures in South Florida, creating opportunities for captive animals to reach the wild. Once these snakes entered the Everglades, the environment offered extraordinary advantages. The climate was suitable. Waterways connected large areas of habitat. Prey was abundant. And there was no established community of native predators specifically adapted to controlling a giant constrictor like this. The result was a slow invasion that was easy to underestimate. Pythons do not need to chase prey across open ground. They can wait. They can remain hidden. They can move through water, vegetation, and mud. They can survive long periods without eating. Their hunting strategy is based on patience, ambush, and an ability to exploit whatever opportunity appears. That makes them particularly difficult to count. If you see one python, you know one python exists. You do not know how many are nearby. A population can remain almost invisible while still expanding. Scientists have therefore relied on surveys, tracking, field observations, captures, environmental DNA, and population models to understand the problem. The ecological consequences are even more disturbing. The Everglades is not just a collection of individual animals. It is a connected food web. Rabbits feed on vegetation. Predators feed on rabbits. Birds depend on fish, amphibians, insects, and small mammals. Larger predators depend on the animals below them. When an invasive predator removes large numbers of prey, the effects can spread outward through the entire system. Researchers have documented severe declines in several native mammal populations in areas where pythons became established. The disappearance of prey does not simply mean fewer animals are visible. It changes how the entire ecosystem functions. This is why the python problem feels bigger than a snake problem. It is a food web problem. It is a habitat problem. And increasingly, it is a visibility problem. Imagine walking through dense sawgrass knowing a 12-foot snake could be resting just a few yards away. You cannot search every blade of grass. You cannot examine every canal bank. You cannot patrol every mangrove root. The landscape is simply too large. Fire offers a temporary answer. The Florida Forest Service and other land managers use prescribed burns under carefully selected weather conditions. Timing matters. Wind speed matters. Humidity matters. Fuel moisture matters. The objective is to create a controlled fire that accomplishes ecological goals without becoming an uncontrolled wildfire. A burn that is too weak may leave too much vegetation standing. A burn that is too intense can damage soil, trees, wildlife habitat, or nearby communities. The people conducting these operations are therefore working within a narrow window. When conditions are right, fire moves across the sawgrass and consumes accumulated thatch. The old material disappears. The surface opens. The landscape becomes easier to observe. And that is where the hunters come in. Python removal teams are not ordinary hunting parties. They operate in difficult terrain where heat, insects, mud, water, and dangerous wildlife are part of the job. Some search on foot. Others use vehicles, boats, or elevated roads and levees. They learn the landscape and develop an eye for tiny clues, a disturbed patch of mud, a trail through vegetation, a shape that does not belong. After a burn, those clues can become much easier to see. Scientists have also considered more advanced approaches, including genetic technologies that could theoretically alter reproduction in invasive populations. Such ideas sound like science fiction because they involve changing the biological rules of a species. But genetic control is not a simple switch. Any technology released into a wild population would require extraordinary testing, safeguards, monitoring, and ethical consideration. The Everglades is connected to other ecosystems, and unintended consequences could be severe. That is why fire remains so attractive despite its limitations. It is old technology. It is powerful. It is familiar to ecosystem managers. And when carefully controlled, it can serve multiple ecological purposes at once. The image of the burning Everglades can therefore be misleading. Smoke does not necessarily mean the ecosystem is dying. Sometimes smoke means land managers are trying to keep the ecosystem functioning. Sometimes the blackened ground is the beginning of renewal. And sometimes, for the python hunters, it is the only moment when a hidden predator becomes visible. After the flames disappear, the marsh becomes strangely quiet. The ground is dark. The air smells of ash and wet earth. The tall grass is gone, and the horizon suddenly seems much larger. This is the moment when the hunters start looking. A movement in the distance. A curve against the ash. A track near a canal. A heavy body sliding toward cover. For a few weeks, the hunter has an advantage. Then the grass returns. The Everglades begins rebuilding itself. And the snakes disappear again. That cycle captures the entire struggle. We burn. We search. We capture. The landscape recovers. The snakes adapt. Then the process begins again. It is not a clean victory. It is not a final battle with a dramatic ending. It is an ongoing attempt to push an invasive predator back while protecting the ecosystem that existed before it arrived. The most haunting part is not seeing a giant python. It is imagining the ones you never see. Somewhere beneath the green cover, a snake may be waiting beside a canal. Somewhere in the mangroves, another may be moving through dark water. Somewhere beyond the reach of a patrol, eggs may be developing. The fire reveals a fraction of that hidden world. And that fraction is enough to remind us how much remains unknown. The Everglades is resilient. It has survived hurricanes, droughts, floods, fires, and enormous changes caused by humans. Native species have adapted to disturbance for thousands of years. But resilience is not infinite. The question is whether the ecosystem can recover faster than the invasive predator can reshape it. That is the real war. Not humans against snakes. Not fire against grass. But an attempt to restore balance before the damage becomes irreversible. So when smoke rises across South Florida and a wall of flame moves through the sawgrass, it is easy to see only destruction. Look closer. The fire is revealing what the grass was hiding. It is exposing predators. It is exposing empty habitat. It is exposing the consequences of decisions made decades ago. And it is giving the Everglades a brief chance to breathe. The grass will return. The marsh will turn green again. Birds will come back to burned areas. New growth will push through the ash. And somewhere inside that recovering landscape, the pythons will still be waiting. That is why the war is not over. The hunters will return. The scientists will keep tracking. The fires will come again when conditions are right. And the Everglades will continue its ancient cycle of burning, growing, flooding, drying, and renewing itself. The only question is what survives inside that cycle. Will native wildlife reclaim the spaces that were lost? Will the python population continue expanding? Will new technology finally give researchers an advantage large enough to matter? Or will the snakes become so widespread that control becomes a permanent part of life in South Florida? Nobody can answer that with certainty. But one thing is clear. The invasion has already changed the Everglades. And every controlled fire is more than a burn. It is a test. A test of whether humans can repair a problem they helped create. A test of whether science, persistence, and careful land management can restore a damaged food web. And a test of whether one of the most resilient ecosystems on Earth can remain wild in the face of an enemy that never should have been there. The flames disappear. The smoke thins. The black earth begins turning green. And beneath that new grass, the war continues. There is another reason this fight matters beyond the Everglades itself. Invasive species rarely respect the boundaries drawn on a management map. Once established, they can move through connected waterways, roadsides, wetlands, agricultural land, and suburban edges. A snake does not understand where protected habitat ends and a neighborhood begins. If conditions remain favorable, the same traits that helped it survive in the marsh can help it exploit new environments. That possibility is one reason researchers pay close attention to every unusual sighting. A python found outside a known concentration is not automatically evidence of a new invasion front, but it can provide a warning. Early detection is valuable because removing a few animals from a new area is far easier than controlling an established population. This changes the importance of ordinary people, too. Residents, boaters, hikers, hunters, park workers, and photographers can all become accidental observers. A photograph, location, or report may help authorities understand how an animal is moving. The goal is not for the public to confront a large snake. The goal is to notice, report, and let trained professionals handle the response. For the hunters themselves, the work can be exhausting because success is measured in animals removed, while failure is invisible. Capturing a python proves one snake was there. Finding nothing does not prove the area is clear. Silence can mean absence, or it can mean the animal is better hidden. That uncertainty is what makes the Everglades such a difficult battlefield. The landscape can look empty while remaining biologically active. Water carries signals. Mud records movement. Vegetation conceals bodies. Heat creates patterns. Fire changes all of them for a short period, giving researchers a rare opportunity to compare what the landscape looks like before and after disturbance. The most useful strategy may therefore be combination rather than confrontation. Fire can create visibility. Technology can extend human senses. Field teams can investigate. Scientists can study the results and adjust future operations. Each method provides a piece of information that another method can use. That is how a modern wildlife battle is actually fought. Not with one dramatic weapon, but with thousands of small observations. A track here. A capture there. A DNA sample from a canal. A drone image. A radio signal. A burned patch of grass. Together, those fragments can become a map of an invasion that was once almost impossible to see. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson hidden inside the smoke. The Everglades was never a simple place. It is a living system shaped by water, fire, weather, migration, competition, and time. Humans changed that system, and now humans are trying to understand how to repair it without causing another wave of damage. There will be mistakes. There will be failed burns. There will be snakes that escape. There will be strategies that sound promising but produce disappointing results. There may even be discoveries that force scientists to rethink what they believe about the population. But the alternative is not doing nothing. Doing nothing also changes the ecosystem. Every year an invasive predator remains established is another year of pressure on native wildlife. So the fire crews return. The engines move into position. The weather is checked one more time. The wind is measured. The burn line is prepared. Then the first flame appears. It crawls through the grass, gathers speed, and turns the familiar green marsh into a moving wall of orange. For a moment, everything seems chaotic. But inside that controlled chaos is a purpose. The fire clears the old cover. The hunters watch the edges. The scientists observe movement. The drones scan from above. And the Everglades gets another chance to reveal what has been hiding inside it. Perhaps the python will always be part of South Florida's story now. Perhaps control will never mean complete eradication. Perhaps the future will be defined by permanent management rather than a final victory. If that is true, then the objective becomes something more realistic and more important, keeping the ecosystem strong enough to resist being reshaped beyond recognition. That means protecting native prey, maintaining healthy wetlands, using fire responsibly, improving detection, removing invasive animals whenever possible, and continuing to learn. Because the most dangerous assumption would be that we already understand the problem completely. We do not. The grass hides too much. The water carries too many secrets. And the Everglades is simply too large. But every burn removes a little darkness. Every captured python provides another piece of evidence. Every scientific discovery narrows the unknown. And every restored patch of habitat proves that recovery is still possible. The final image is not a victory parade. It is a marsh at dawn. Smoke drifting low over blackened ground. Fresh green shoots beginning to rise. Birds returning to the open water. And somewhere beyond the burned line, a hidden python slipping into the vegetation. The hunter cannot see it. Not yet. But now they know where to look. And for the first time in this long war, that may be enough to keep the Everglades fighting back.